I want to thank you for letting me be myself again. Hey, welcome. It's the special Thanksgiving show here at Uncle Tom's Cabin. Good to have you with us. It's a lot for stopping by. We're going to talk about books and music from a reader's and listener's perspective. Yeah, this is our special Thanksgiving show. I should be airing the Saturday before Thanksgiving or thereabouts, our American holiday. And later on, we're going to have Tanya Dalhouse, who is a true Rembrandt woman. She does, man, she's an artist, she's an author, she's a community activist. She is an organizer of events like Books by the Bay. Yeah, this will be my fourth year. I'm original plank owner. It is a spring book festival in Pensacola, the city of Five Flags, down on the Gulf Coast. And we're going to have her talk about that as well as the Emerald Coast Writers Association. So I'm real excited about that. We've had some great guests. We had D.L. Tillery, the mistress of horror. We've had Pam Morrell, great mystery author. All the way from Australia, we've had Jimmy Eyebrow detective series author Lou Powers. And I know I'm forgetting a bunch of people. Oh, Angela Yuroko Smith from the Horror Writers Association. So, and lots more where that came from. But we're a little bit low on book reviews. So if you've read a book that you like, send me an email with a little review of a couple sentences. Or if you want to be on the show, we can arrange that too. Or if you have a band or musician that you really have discovered that you really like, send me an email. bookinfo@nextstopparadise.com. That's our publishing company, Next Stop Paradise Publishing. I thought maybe later on I would do a little read through of Thirst. They're here for the water. This is book number, what? 3. Yeah. No, book number 2 of the Leviathan Protocol series, Underwater Ecological Adventure. And I don't think we've ever read anything from this before. This is the second book. It's the sequel to Leviathan Protocol. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. But let's talk a little bit about news. I know you've been waiting with bated breath. It's time now for the news. The finalists for the 2025 National Book Awards have been announced. The novels by Karen Russell and Brian Washington are among those vying for the awards in fiction and nonfiction, while books about Gaza and foster care and women in Russia are also up for the nonfiction prize. The National Book Awards recognizes excellence in independent publishing and traditional publishing. 4 of the 5 finalists for the 2025 National Book Awards are being announced, and they've previously been celebrated by the organization and have been given awards. So 4 of the 5 have already won the award. They include Rahim Aladim, a fiction finalist in 2014, who is now in contention this year for his novel, The True Story of Raja and Gullible and His Mother. It's a great title. 2 other finalists, Karen Russell for The Antidote and Brian Washington for the forthcoming novel, Tolliver. were earlier included on the National Book Foundation's annual list of the 5 most promising novelists under 35. I didn't even know they had such a thing. Wonder if they have something for over the hill, burned out rock and rollers like me, over 65. And Megan Mahal, finalist for her forthcoming novel, A Guardian and a Thief. She saw her debut novel, Burning, longlisted in 2020. And there is one new fiction writer that's new to the National Book Award competition and recognition. And it's also a finalist published by the small press in the group. His name is Ethan Rutherford, and he's a debut novelist whose book, North Sun, or The Voyage of the Whale Ship Esther, was put out by Deep Vellum Publishing. The National Book Foundation announced its 25 finalists for awards across 5 categories: fiction, nonfiction, poetry, translated literature, that is, books that are translated from a foreign language into English, and young people's literature. The winners are going to be named at a ceremony, actually should be happening right about the time this airs. And 2 Lifetime Achievement Awards are going to be presented at the ceremony this month. The author and professor George Saunders will receive the Medal of Distinguished Contribution to American Letters, and Roxane Gay, an author and cultural critic, will be presented with the Literatarian Award for outstanding service to the American literary community. So the National Book finalists, how about a drum roll? In fiction, Rahib Ahmadine for The True Story of Raja the Gullible, Maja Mullandar for A Guardian and a Thief, Karen Russell for The Antidote, Ethan Rutherford, newcomer, for North Sun or The Voyage of the Whale Ship Esther. And rounding out for fiction, author Brian Washington for Palaver. Over in nonfiction, for the National Book Awards for 2025, we have Omar El Alkar. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Omar El Alkar. One Day Everyone Will Have Always Been Against This is the name of the book. Julia Offey wrote a book, Motherland, A Feminist History of Modern Russia from Revolution to Autocracy, by Julia Ioff. She's a finalist in the nonfiction. Eugene Lee wrote Things in Nature Merely Grow, a nonfiction book. And also nominated is Claudia Rowe for Wards of the State, The Long Shadow of American Foster Care, nominated in nonfiction. And completing the nonfiction category, Jordan Thomas, When It All Burns, Fighting Fire in a Transformed World. Rounding out the 2025 National Book Award nominees for 2025. I like to see excellence awarded. Yeah. There are so many good writers out there who never get the time of day. I'm thankful that we live in a country that still has independent bookstores that we can go into. You know, I love our good friends at Barnes and Noble and B. Dalton and any other chains. I think those are really the only, and Books A Million, of course. I know I'm forgetting somebody, but the national chains, well, we love those guys, no doubt. But give me a small independent bookstore on the corner. Yeah. Where you go in and you find books that have been there since 1973, on the shelf since 1973, gems that you couldn't find anyplace else. And it's that experience of being in a small to medium size independent bookstores, the few that are left, you can really find some real gems in there, and the people that you meet too. That's another reason why I'm such a big fan of libraries, both the little free libraries that we see. We gave away 73 books last summer. Went around to all of the little book things, little books outlets in front of people's houses all throughout our community. We have a bunch of them. We had there's over 50, more than 50 of them. And there's one in your town too. And you can have your own. There's an organization, Little Free Libraries. We've been trying to get them to come on the show and talk about it. littlefreelibraries.org, I believe is the address. And we'll have that in the show notes. And that's kind of another thing that the current administration wants to privatize public libraries. And in some areas of the country, they already have private libraries. I think I've mentioned that on the show before. I believe in Boca Raton, you have to join the library, and there's a membership card. Some of them are offering a tier. There's free membership, and you can take one book out for 2 weeks. But if you're a member of the club, you can also check out DVDs, and it's a longer borrowing period and all kinds of stuff like that. We either support public libraries or we don't. They're going to disappear. They're not budgeted well. And then, of course, you have the book Nazis that are trying to ban books or trying to control what people can and can't take out of the public library. No. So that's something that we're going to take a strong look at. I'm doing some research on that now. We'll find out what bills might be moving through Congress so that you might want to get involved to support public libraries. Speaking of which, if you're an independent author, there are now a lot more avenues for you to put your books into, or your CDs, your music CDs, into library circulation. So that's kind of exciting as well. I like to see excellence awarded. Yeah. There are so many good writers out there who never get the time of day. I'm thankful that we live in a country that still has independent bookstores that we can go into. You know, I love our good friends at Barnes and Noble and B. Dalton and any other chains. I think those are really the only. Oh, and Books A Million, of course. I know I'm forgetting somebody, but the national chains. Well, we love those guys, no doubt. But give me a small independent bookstore on the corner. Yeah. Where you go in and you find books that have been there since 1973, on the shelf since 1973, gems that you couldn't find anyplace else. And it's that experience of being in a small to medium size independent bookstores, the few that are left, you can really find some real gems in there, and the people that you meet too. That's another reason why I'm such a big fan of libraries, both the little free libraries that we see. We gave away 73 books last summer. Went around to all of the little book things, little books outlets in front of people's houses all throughout our community. We have a bunch of them. We had there's over 50, more than 50 of them. And there's one in your town too. And you can have your own. There's an organization, Little Free Libraries. We've been trying to get them to come on the show and talk about it. littlefreelibraries.org, I believe is the address. And we'll have that in the show notes. And that's kind of another thing that the current administration wants to privatize public libraries. And in some areas of the country, they already have private libraries. I think I've mentioned that on the show before. I believe in Boca Raton, you have to join the library, and there's a membership card. Some of them are offering a tier. There's free membership, and you can take one book out for 2 weeks. But if you're a member of the club, you can also check out DVDs, and it's a longer borrowing period and all kinds of stuff like that. We either support public libraries or we don't. They're going to disappear. They're not budgeted well. And then, of course, you have the book Nazis that are trying to ban books or trying to control what people can and can't take out of the public library. No. So that's something that we're going to take a strong look at. I'm doing some research on that now. We'll find out what bills might be moving through Congress so that you might want to get involved to support public libraries. Speaking of which, fall, I think, and spring are my two favorite times of year. I think it's because they represent change, maybe. But I hope you're thankful for your friends and your family, your good health, that we still live in a country where we have the freedom to be able to read and write what we'd like. Yeah. And I might have my recipe for stuffing. And if so, I'll put it in the show notes. And that way maybe you can buy it. Are you going to have turkey this year? We had duck last year. I didn't care for it. Sharon's an excellent cook, but yeah, I didn't care for it. Duck à l'orange, and but we've had about 3 years ago, we had a seafood Thanksgiving, which was kind of fun. We had lobster and shrimp and clams and scallops, and had a seafood bonanza, and that's always fun. We have the annual fall is what I call festival season down here on the Gulf Coast. We have a lot of festivals. The Blues and Barbecue Festival is one, but the Destin Seafood Festival and Seafood Rodeo, where they have the big fishing tournaments, and you can go down on the docks early in the morning and watch the boats come in, and they'll be hauling up huge fish, sailfish and tuna and all kinds of stuff. I didn't know that there were whales in the Gulf of Mexico. And by the way, it is called the Gulf of Mexico. We can have our political differences, but you don't get to rename oceans. Sorry. Well, we've migrated the show to an hour long now, and we're looking for a sponsor, and we migrated from a DIY type show because there's so many great people out there that'll teach you how to be a good author. But there seems to be no place to really talk about books. What was the favorite book that you bought in the last year? Have you purchased ebooks or audiobooks? And what was your favorite this year? We're coming on the end of the year now. What book are you hoping Santa brings you for Christmas? For me, it's the new Dan Brown novel. What is it? Symbols and Signs? Something like that. I'm looking forward to that. But I'm buying more audiobooks now. I really, if you get a good author or a good narrator, and even some of the computer-based narration sounds remarkable. You can't really, well, you can a little bit, but they're getting damn close. You've got the inflection down now, and all of my books, by the way, are on Apple Audiobooks. You can get all of them, including Thirst, and the entire Leviathan Protocol series. But let's just read a little bit from Thirst. They're Here for the Water, book number 2 of the Leviathan Protocol. I'm just going to open it up at random and read here. Chapter 6, Freshwater Collapse. The Alterians aren't so different from us, at least not on the inside. Beneath their bioluminescent skin and marine-like frames, their internal systems mirror our own in eerie evolutionary echoes. Circulatory channels, organ clusters, neural bundles. But what sets them apart wasn't what they had, it was how many times they had it. Their systems had redundancies, layers, fail-safes, 2 hearts, where a human has 1 liver, an Alterian alien had 3. Not in the same place, not even the same shape, but the same essential function was repeated in triplicate. It was the same for their hearts. Their respiratory nodes were the same, and even their blood analog, an oxygen-binding plasma that simmered blue-green under spectrographic light. But just like us, they were water-based organisms. Roughly 82% of the Alterian's body mass was composed of water, just like in humans. But where were they fragile? They were engineered by nature for long cycles of deprivation, dormancy, and survival. But even they had limits. And while Earth teetered on the edge of collapse, they didn't see it as theft, stealing the water. They saw it as withdrawal from a deposit they made long ago. Their bodies could endure pressure, but humans couldn't. Hydrologists worldwide report freshwater levels falling below survival thresholds in key regions of the Earth. Massive algae blooms erupted in the oceans, and life displaced by rising salt saturation. The dead fish came first, tens of thousands, bloated, glassy-eyed, washing ashore on the coast of Senegal, Australia, Chile, in freshwater lakes and river mouths, once teeming with life. Algae bloomed with suffocating density and efficiency. Yeah. Thirst. They're here for the water. Yeah. Thirst, they're here for the water, blending speculative science, real-world geopolitics, and heart-stopping suspense. Thirst is a stunning sequel that expands the mythos of the Leviathan Protocol. It's a breathtaking global saga. For readers of thrillers, award-winning author Tom McAuliffe delivers an unrelenting tale of survival, sacrifice, and the question that haunts every contact in the quest for Earth's most precious resource, H2O. They came as guardians, they stayed as watchers, and now they've returned as takers. Thirst. They're here for the water. Yeah. I'm pleased with the way this turned out. I think you will be too. It is engaging, and if you buy one of them, you're going to want to buy all 4 of them, because it is an engaging tale about Dr. Tessa Ross, award-winning investigative journalist Ethan Cole, and their band of archaeological experts and, frankly, treasure hunters, and meeting some crazy aliens along the way. The Leviathan Protocol series. You know, I often get questions from viewers and people who are readers and kind of interested in how we come up with ideas and such like that. I just thought I'd show you this. I was just working on this earlier. This is what we call a character list. This is for a book I'm working on right now about the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald. Yes, the one from the song. And this basically lists all the characters in the book. And it basically lists the name of the character, what role they play. Are they a protagonist, an antagonist, a secondary character, tertiary character? What type of character they are, whether they're static, whether they're dynamic, whether they're a sage or a foil, and how often they appear in the story. So we just keep this next to us. We can refer back to it, and it helps us keep on track. It's really difficult sometimes to sit by the pool and not have a drink when you'd really like one. That's suffering. No, it's sometimes difficult to remember what you wrote in chapter 1 when you're writing chapter 15, and the character sheet helps you keep on track. There are so many ways now for people to consume books. It's exciting. Ebooks, and now they're expanding ebooks. Well, I guess maybe they've always done this. I just didn't realize it, but ebooks now have embedded links where you can click on them and it'll launch a video. Maybe it's related to the storyline, or maybe it's actually part of the storyline. And then, of course, the audiobook thing that we talked about. One other thing I wanted to kind of talk about when we talk about reading, being an author. When did being smart in this country become not a cool thing? Growing up, I remember there were television shows where you could go on and answer questions and win fabulous prizes. Somewhere along the way, some people decided that being smart was not a good thing, not something to aspire to. Tom doesn't understand that. Certainly intelligence and intellect and knowledge is something we all should, aspire to. When your kid's growing up, you don't say to them, well, go out and try and be as stupid as you possibly can be. Although it sometimes feels that way. But yeah, we should always aspire. And that's why I read, is to learn more. That's kind of something else that I talked about on a recent show, was a study that came out that said that, more than half of readers these days don't read for pleasure. They read because of work, or they're trying to learn something, or they don't read for pleasure. But that's changing, I think. Poetry books have become much, much more popular than they used to be. We had D.L. Tillery on, the Mistress of Horror, and she has some poetry books out. And poetry, I think, is coming along. Of course, there's hip hop slam poetry that the young people are into. So, and they always got, something good to say. So I encourage you to support that. A lot of independent bookstores have poetry slam nights once in a while, or something like that. Hey, one of the things I want to thank you about, and keeping with the theme of Thanksgiving, is I really, really appreciate all the readers who take a chance, have never read any of my books before. I've got a brand new book out called Red Summer, the Tulsa Race Massacre of 1921, one of the darkest chapters of American history. That just came out. And I have another book coming out called The Edmund Fitzgerald Without a Trace. That's about the shipwreck in 1975, made famous by the Gordon Lightfoot song, The Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald. So that'll be coming out on the anniversary of the wreck, November 10th. That's available for pre-sale at Amazon and Kindle. Busy. Anyway, I don't want to make it, I don't want to talk politics. There's too many. Life is too short. We've got Tanya from Books on the Bay and Emerald Coast Writers, and an artist extraordinaire coming on the show in a little while. Well, I've been whipping up some stuff in the lab. Here are some brand new book promos. Well, I am so thankful that we've had such great guests on the show, like this one right here. This young lady is a true uh, wearer of many hats, all of them successfully. She is an author, she is an artist, she's a photographer, she's a filmmaker, and she is an organizer. She invented the Books by the Bay annual book festival in Pensacola on the Gulf Coast, the city of Five Flags, coming up in March of 2026. She's going to talk about that. Um, but let me, if you go to her website, and the address will be at the bottom of the screen, she has a wonderful gallery of different art that she's created, photographs, everything from digital photography and graphic design to character makeup, and other artistic endeavors. She's a former stand up comedian, my passion. Uh, and she has worked in Boston as a program manager for a homeless shelter, serving over 150 families. That made her well acquainted with managing conflict and communication. And she is the epitome of compassion, empathy, and when needed, humor. She likes to tap into those experiences when she's teaching or doing public speaking or facilitation. Uh, and she helped train graduate students at the University of Denver. She's got extensive experience and knowledge providing expertise in both verbal and nonverbal communication. She also received a micro expression practitioner's certificate through the Center for Body Language. Maybe she'll talk a little bit about that. That sounds fascinating. In response to the many, she says, in response to the many recent tragic mass shootings, I have also used my skill sets to study and speak on using nonverbal cues to identify potential acts of violence. In addition to my professional pursuits, I am passionate about writing, creating digital photography, mixed media, and social media content. Tanya has studied and won awards in videography, photography, and as an undergraduate, she applies those skills to create a profession. She's the Da Vinci of all these different wonderful artistic expressions. Most recently, she wrote, illustrated, and published her first book. I'm going to mispronounce this. She'll correct me, hopefully. Body and Hattie Share. It's a picture book, and it can be found on Amazon and Barnes and Noble. You'll see her at the Books on the Bay Festival. She actually has several uh, prized chickens and roosters, and we'll get her to talk about that. Maybe she'll even bring it on the camera. But I'm excited to have her on the show. Please help me welcome Tanya Delhos. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Oh, you flatter me, Tom. And I don't know if I invented Books by the Bay, but I certainly have steered the ship. Let's
Yes,
say.
yes. Well, I want to talk to you about, I mean, I could talk to you for the whole show, we're only got an hour, but um, first, let me talk to you about your creative endeavors. You're a visual artist. I was so impressed with your artwork on your
Oh,
website,
yeah.
your photography.
I actually have my poster happens to be sitting here. So this was
Oh, yes, yes.
my most recent and first solo show that was at the University of South Alabama. And it's all chickens. And it was wildly popular, so I hear, because chickens are kind of the trending thing right now.
So tell us about
But
your first book. What is it? Is it Tal and Haiti?
Bottle and Hattie Share is the name of the book. And Bottle and Hattie are actually my two pet chickens that live indoors with me in diapers.
Very
So
cool.
she's actually right on the other side of
And
my
and are these
of here.
roosters or chickens?
Well, roosters are chickens, actually. They are hens, which is the female
Good,
version.
good point. Good point.
But yes, they are two hens that live indoors. We actually do have a few others that live in one part of the house and go outside during the day. So I don't tell people they're also my house chickens because I start to look like a crazy chicken lady. But we also have a rooster cotton and two silky hens that live with him, and a wren who is a small modern game bantam, as well as two pigeons and two button quail.
How did you
So it's
get
kind of
involved
a
in
feathered
birds?
family here.
How'd you get
How to get
involved in birds and chickens?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So when I was 9 years old, I actually asked my parents for chickens for my birthday, and they bought me like 35, 40 chickens. We lived on a small farm in New Hampshire, in Hancock, New Hampshire, just not far from Concord. And I had them growing up. We had them in more of a traditional sense, I would say, where my parents ate them and they were part of our homestead. So when I we moved down to Florida from Colorado up just about 9 years ago now. We have a big 6.5 acre property. And I thought, let's get chickens again. They can go around, they can eat all those huge palmetto bugs,
Big as
aka
your
cockroach.
fist.
Yeah, the ones that are as big as my head, pretty much, when I go down to the coop at night. But we were just going to have them free range and have fun and frolic in the sun and all of that fun stuff. And I got the first five home and absolutely fell in love with them. Found they were very quirky and personable, and they all have very individual, distinct personalities and likes and needs.
Wow.
So I decided with those first five that I couldn't let them free range because I didn't want them getting eaten by a predator. So we built them this huge aviary, moved them out there, decided to get a different breed that's more predator resistant, I guess you could say. And I got 17 more Appenzellers that were going to free range, fell in love with them, couldn't imagine them getting eaten by predators. So they went into the aviary as
Well,
well.
I wanna I
I
wanna
got it.
I wanna thank you for letting us build the cabins on your back 40.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
As you can see, I live a very rich fantasy life.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. So
Now this
anyway,
book, now
we
this
ended up with chickens, and this all got started. They're my muse, and they have spearheaded all my writing and involvement in the writing community in Pensacola.
and that book is geared towards kids, towards young adults.
That's correct. It's a
Children.
picture book. It's called Bottle and Hattie Share.
So it's mostly for what age wise, 5 years old, 7 years old, something like that.
No, pretty much about 1 to 7, I would say.
All right, one. And do you think you'll write another children's book?
Well, it's funny you should ask that because I'm just about to publish today my second one, Bottle and Hattie Make Believe,
Oh, exciting,
which
exciting.
which showcases pictures of the chickens in costumes and learning about make believe and the value of being yourself.
Can
So,
you can
oh, and
you share the cover? That'd be
here she is.
wonderful.
She came to say hi.
Ha ha ha.
Look, Bottle, we're on TV. What do you think?
I love her. She's got a Rod Stewart haircut.
Yeah, so Bottle is the main character in pretty much all my books, right? Yes, she is. And she wears a diaper indoors. This is her
And
little
she's
diaper.
affectionate.
Oh my goodness. Chickens are incredibly affectionate. And
And
that's what
I've heard that they're smart too.
highly intelligent. They can learn up to 150 words. The average dog can learn around 90. The interesting thing with chickens is people always hear the story of the guy who cut the chicken's head off and it continued to survive and he fed it through like its neck and stuff. And so they think chickens are stupid. I know, it's a horrible story. They think chickens
The Halloween show was a
the
couple of
hollow, yeah, yeah, exactly. But actually, their head is small, so their brain isn't actually in their head, though. Most of their processing is in their neck, so their brain is actually pretty large. So where, we process stuff up in our cerebral cortex, this is their cerebral cortex, is all down in their neck.
I've never seen a chicken like that before.
Yeah,
Um,
she is a buff-laced Polish chicken,
Polish chicken. Oh.
but they're not actually from Poland, they're from Amsterdam.
And would
On the
most people raise those for pets or would they raise those for food?
Most people raise sort of these type of breeds as more pets and showing. So
Yes.
there's quite a big chicken show circuit, if you can believe that, kind of like Best in Show for chickens.
Wow. Well, did we time it perfect or what? So you have the new book being
Yeah.
published today, and it's called,
Bottle and Hattie Make Believe
and it's going to be available on Amazon Kindle.
on Amazon. Yep.
And do you do ebooks as well as print books?
I haven't yet,
Yeah.
but that may be my next venture. I have another book coming out called Scat, the Jazzy Chicken, which is in conjunction with the Jaws Festival in Mobile, Alabama. And it's an educational book. It's about a chicken that hears jazz happening in the city and goes to the city to hear what these strange birds are making these amazing sounds. And he learns that he can make his own sounds and still be part of his community in the barnyard. So it's a
You
fun
finally,
book that teaches people about jazz and all the different jazz terminology. There's a glossary in the back and
they got the licorice stick going.
yeah.
That clarinet player, the licorice stick guy. Um, well, that's very exciting, and we'll have a link to the new book and the other book in the show notes. Now one thing I just wanted to ask you: of all the things artistically that you do, what's your favorite?
Wow, that's a tough question. I'm somebody who loves doing tons of different things. Like I can't stay occupied enough. So, some days, if you ask me that, my favorite thing would be writing. Other days it would be art or crafting or, just hanging out with the chickens and running the event, the Books by the Bay event.
Yeah, we're going to talk
Yeah.
about that. I
I
I
love it all. I don't know. There's not really one thing that's like my absolute favorite.
I was a photographer's mate in the Navy, and so I'm a visual person like you are. Do you think that visual people process information differently?
I do. Yeah, but I think everybody processes information a little differently. I don't know if there's one kind of way that certain people are. I don't know. I know for me, I am more of a kinesthetic learner. Like I need to be hands-on and break things up and put them together. So I like jobs and roles where I have lots of different types of tasks to do, not just one single thing. I
Well,
would not be a good accountant.
as a photojournalist in the Navy, and I've won a few awards, I know a little bit about what I'm talking about. You have a great eye. Um, when you, what do you use for a camera? Nobody uses film anymore. Everything's digital now, right?
Yeah, well, to be quite brutally honest, I do have a Nikon, a really nice Nikon D780, but honestly, this is my favorite camera right here.
Wow.
And
It's
I would say I probably 60% of the photos that I actually use are taken with this little buddy right here.
well,
So our
but
phone cameras have become so advanced now that it's really hard to take a bad picture, I think.
well, before we talk about the book event and the writing association there. Uh, can you outline for us a little bit about what your creative writing process is like? Do you dictate? Are you a plotter? Are you a pantser?
I am definitely unequivocally a pantser. And my writing process, so most of the books that I've written have all been about chickens, and even the short things that I've written, like President Messages for the Legend and other stories, are mostly based on actual events that have happened. And I tend to write them right after the events happened. So I have a book that I'm actually have been working on for a while on how to raise chickens through my own experiences and stories. And that writing process looked like I would go down to the coop, something would happen. I would, get down in the morning, somebody would have blood gushing out of the side of their neck or whatever. I'd have to bring them back and wrap them up and do all the stuff, and then I'd sit down and write about it.
Uh,
And like in the vein of the book is like, this is how you don't keep chickens alive kind of
and
story, like what not to do.
so you'll do that writing right at the laptop
Yes. Yeah.
as opposed to dictation or
Yeah, no, I type everything out. Yeah.
what do you think about as an author? What do you think about AI and what it's doing or not doing, and the positive and negative of AI and authors?
Oh, that's a great question. I'm actually getting ready to do a workshop on AI for the Pen Women Association. And I, so AI is an interesting topic creatively. At first, I was concerned that it was going to kind of replace good authorship and writing skills and stuff. I'll have to say, since I started using AI, I've become pretty lazy, but not because I'm having it replace the creative work that I'm doing, but because it does all the other stuff that takes up all my time that stops me from being able to do the creative process. So now instead of like for Books by the Bay, I have to do grant writing. I'm doing the scheduling. I'm constantly working on social media. Now I can just give that stuff to AI and say, write this grant up for me. This is the things that I want you to put in it. And then I've had time to write two more children's books. Whereas, you know, last year I didn't have time to do anything because that's all I did was Books by the Bay and Emerald Coast Writers stuff because I'm also the president. I don't think we mentioned that, but so it's, I think AI is great if you use it to help support your work role, what you need to do for different tasks. What I don't approve of is people using it to write entirely their, instead of actually doing the writing process themselves. And what I have seen with some of the authors that have come through, because we see over 100 authors a year with Books by the Bay and stuff, is that you can tell books that were written solely by AI and then were not edited because it starts to see a lot of redundancy, like the same exact lines will be
And you
printed
see,
over and over
yes,
and over.
that's so true. And you hear the same words. It uses words like tapestry, resiliency.
Yeah, yeah,
it keeps talking to me about sunrises and sunsets and stuff like that. And I can
yeah.
definitely tell. Do you think that if an author uses generative AI like that they should be required to let the reader know?
Well, I mean, I don't know how you reinforce that. I know that it's kind of on a good faith basis right now that Amazon says you need to put if you have used AI. I don't know how you can enforce that if somebody decides not to. Um, I think it's like other things. Like if you hire a bunch of contractors and one does a great job building your house and one, forgets to put the roof on half the house, then you're going to screen out that contractor as somebody who's not any good. And I kind of feel like, the readers have a little bit of accountability here. If you're reading something that's not well written, then, you're not going to choose that author or that book. So you're kind of, putting a hole in your own foot if you're going to just use AI to write and not do any of the hard work.
I think that's very, very well said. Um, so let's talk about Books on the Bay. This is what, your fourth year?
No, third, although it feels like our 10th for me.
Well,
No, it's very
I've been
exciting.
with you since day one.
Yes, you have. You've been a wonderful supporter and exhibitor. We got started, 3 years ago. The idea had been to just have sort of a little craft, almost like a little craft show. I mean, I sat in this event committee at the time and I was like, why don't we just put on a little book fair? It's so easy. All you do is just rent out a bunch of spaces. People show up, they set up their own tent. You don't do anything. It's just easy fundraising, right? So that year, all of a sudden, we ended up having 27 speakers, stage performances. We had 50 authors show up. It turned into a major event, like overnight. So we never did
I
the
was
little
there,
fair,
sold a
and
whole
you were
bunch of
there.
books, met a whole bunch of great people. It was so much fun every year.
Yeah.
It's not to
Well,
be.
and then we doubled. So we doubled last year. We went from 50 to 100 authors. Oh, again, in one year we doubled our size. And we started to get a lot of national notoriety. So people started to come in from all over the country. So this year we have actually moved the location. So last year we were downtown Pensacola at a place called Museum Plaza, which is this little park. And the last 2 years we have been so blessed with the weather, and last year it was so close, like by the, skin of our
I
teeth.
think
Like,
it started raining when we started breaking down at the end of the day.
oh, it literally, when my husband and I stood there and watched the last exhibitor put all the stuff in his car, we're sitting there talking, he slams the trunk and it starts to rain. And I was like, how
Thank
is
you,
that
God. Thank you, God.
possible? Like, I mean, we got so lucky. And so that kind of stress, I was like, I can't do that again. Like, we need to make sure we have an indoor space. So we're moving it to Bayview Park, which is very exciting for us actually, because we're books by the bay and now we are literally by the bay. Like, we are overlooking the water. It's absolutely gorgeous there. It's that park brings in tons of families on the weekend normally. So I think we'll actually increase our foot traffic. And
We'll have
it
inside too, right?
yeah, so we have indoor spaces, we have tent spaces outdoors at vendors' own risk, and then we have also a children's area for children's authors to sell books. There's a theater there because we've rented both the community center and the senior resource center. So we have multiple classrooms. We've already, within the first 2 weeks of advertising, we sold out all of our indoor tables, standard size tables.
I got one.
Yep, and we only have one premium table left, and we've already, I think we're up to 41 exhibitors already, and that's kind of where we were at the end of January last year.
So, what's your goal for how many authors you'll have this year?
Well, we're probably, I don't know that we can even 100 authors would be great again, but we're going to be limited in capacity this year because of the venue, and it's the first time at that venue. So
And how's
I
the
think
parking?
Well, that's the other great thing about Bayview Park is it's all free parking and there's tons of parking. There's three different parking lots. There's on-street parking there. So there's lots of parking. There's bathroom facilities. It's just a beautiful setup.
And it's free, right?
And it's free for the public. It absolutely is. You can come and enjoy the workshops and the speakers. We have a wonderful speaker coming in this year from California, Kyla Zhao. She was in the top 30 of 30 in Forbes magazine. Yeah, absolutely, from California. She's a really remarkable author. She does books that are geared toward sort of that middle age, particularly for women, teaching, women empowerment roles, which is a needed topic, I think, right now. She's coming in and she actually found us. She found us. She had heard about our workshop, our event through other authors that said it was one of the best events they'd ever attended. So, I mean, we've now got authors, I think, from 10 different states coming in
And
so
she's
far.
going to do your keynote, the
And
keynote.
she will be our keynote. She's our featured speaker.
What's
Yep.
her name? What's her name again?
Kyla, Kyla, I'm terrible at pronouncing these names. Kyla Shu.
Well, we'll find her website and
Yeah.
put it at the bottom of the
Bye.
screen so people can look her up. And so when's the big date?
The date is March 28th, 2026.
And that's going to be a Saturday, I take it. Yep.
Yeah,
And you go from what, 10 to 6 or 10 to 4 or something like that?
it's 10 to 4. And again, at Bayview Park in Pensacola.
I'm going to be there. I'm looking forward to it. I went with an inside booth instead of an outdoor one this year, which should be kind of interesting. And I've looked at the pictures. I haven't never been to that park, but it
You've
looks
never been? Oh, you should go check it out. It's gorgeous. You can
gorgeous.
also rent kayaks and stuff there and paddle boards if you
Really.
want to get into the toxic waters of the
Of the bay.
bayou.
Well, you mentioned earlier um, that you're the president of Emerald Coast Writers.
Yes, I am.
Tell me about that
I
organization.
wear that hat as well.
And what is ECW all about?
Well, Emerald Coast Writers is an organization that's been around since about 1987. We actually have our own library and resource center on the second floor of the Pensacola Little Theater. And we provide resources and support for local authors that are either looking to publish their first book or have been writing for a long time. We have authors from all over sort of the Emerald Coast region. So a lot of the panhandle and even beyond. So
I'm a
it's just a
member.
great local organization. You know, we do workshops, we do write-ins, we do open readings. We have a holiday party come up. We also do a biannual anthology of works, and we're just getting ready to launch the Emerald Coast Review on October 25th in downtown Pensacola at our, and it's also doubles as an open house for the Library and Resource Center, which we've just
I'll
sort of
I'll
rehabbed.
I'll see if I can make that. I would like to do that. I've been a member for well, a couple of years now, and
Yeah.
I was honored to speak to the group. And this is the show about Thanksgiving. Boy, I sure am thankful we've got an organization like that. We are so fortunate to have that. I've been in other areas of the country and they don't have, they might have book club here or there, something like that. But, and then the new resource center, you must be really super proud.
I am. And it's one of the reasons that I give them my time, to do the event, be the event director of Books by the Bay and the president. I I swore that I was, I've been president of nonprofit organizations before in other states and other areas. And I swore after the last one that I was not going to get involved in any more board positions. And then Emerald Coast Writers happened. And next thing you know, I'm the president. And I wouldn't have done that if I didn't believe so passionately about this organization and its people in it. It is a phenomenal organization. Everybody is super supportive. And it's a lot of fun to be a part of, especially if you're a writer that's new, like I was when I started. I didn't have any idea what I was doing. I ended up joining a critique group, and that's how I got involved, and everything kind of snowballed from there.
Well, when you talk about super supportive, I was fortunate and honored to meet your husband
Oh, yeah.
at the
Yeah,
convention
he
last
is
week.
supportive.
Talk about supportive. I mean, he really is behind you 110%. And if you ever, start talking to him, he talks about you a lot.
Oh, I know he does.
How
He
long
is
have you guys been, how
definitely.
long have you guys been married?
Wow, we have going on, well, it'll be 9 years this year, but I've known him my whole life. So he's
Wonderful.
known my parents longer than I've been alive.
And do you like living in Florida?
Yes, we really love it here. So we moved here from Colorado, and we're both of us are originally from New Hampshire, and we just love the community here. We love the
You're in
weather.
the northern part of the state, right here in the Panhandle.
Yes, yeah, we're up in Beulah,
Oh,
so Northwest Pensacola.
I don't know where that is, but the wonderful thing about Northwest Florida is we get the seasons
Hmm.
We get some cold, just enough to remember. Remember, we got some snow last year for the first time in like 20 years. We got 6 inches of snow. Um, and so, yeah, the Gulf Coast is a wonderful place. I'm originally from Michigan. Came
Oh
down
yeah, another
came
northerner.
down here in '75 and never left. Emerald Coast
So
Writers.
you actually had those cabins in your backyard in
That's
Michigan.
right. Um, where can they find out about books on the Bay, and where can they find out about Emerald Coast Writers?
So Books by the Bay, you can just go to booksbythebay.org or booksbythebay.info and emeraldcoastwritersinc.org. Those are the two websites.
And are there dues to join the Emerald Coast Writers?
Yes, dues for a new member are only $20 for the year, and then they're $35 a year after that.
And
So
I know,
very inexpensive.
and I noticed the organization is doing more online things, online meetings or seminars or talks.
Yeah, after the pandemic, like everybody, they kind of went to Zoom and we carried on that tradition just because we have a lot of people now that are actually live out of state that are members or live in areas that are a little farther away than Pensacola. But I think we're trying to get back more to in-person events now because, people are starting to get a little burnt out on the whole Zoom thing. So,
Well, it's the special Thanksgiving show. Do you have any tips for cooking turkeys or dressing side dishes, anything like
you
that?
know, I don't eat any poultry, Tom.
No. Oh, I'm sorry about that. Oh man, I should just shoot myself. Oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah, that's a so you have
You
seafood,
want to know about how to cook a tofu turkey?
yeah, tofu burger.
A
Yeah,
tofu.
there you go.
Yeah.
Uh,
No, we don't. We usually have a pretty lame Thanksgiving here. We don't do too much for Thanksgiving, my husband and I. It's always just us for some reason.
well, if I don't talk to you before then, have a great holiday. Thank you so much for sharing some time with us.
You
Um,
bet.
come back on the show and talk about your new book. I'd love to have you back.
Yeah, I would love to come back, definitely. And I'll bring Hattie then too. We can have all the chickens.
I Oh, that would be real. That would be really exciting. I always ask all of my guests one final question. If there was one thing you wish people knew about your work, both visually as well as your books and your artistic endeavors, if there was one thing you wish people knew about the artistic process, if you will, what would it be?
I would say if there's, you mean to help other people in their,
Well, you're certainly all about that with your work with the homeless,
yeah.
with your work with the various organizations. You're all about helping other people. But yeah,
I would say you've just got to dive in and do it. Don't let your own self-confidence hold you back because I've never considered myself to really be an artist. I've always been embarrassed to say that. And then find this one thing that you're really passionate about and then use that as the catalyst for what you do. So for me, the chickens were just, helped me go back to writing, which I had put down my pen for probably 35 years, you know, and they got me back into writing. They got me the solo exhibit. And that was really a mission for me to do for them to let people know how special they are. So you got to find that thing that really lights your fire and then don't let yourself be held back. Just try it and do it.
well, as a local independent author, as a reader, as a member of the community of the Gulf Coast, please let me just express my sincere gratitude for all the things you've done and for all the things you are doing. You are truly an example to be emulated. And
Oh, thanks, Tom.
thanks so much for coming by the show.
You betcha. We'll
Happy
see you again.
Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving. Hey, it's time again for your top 10 books. Hey, let's not forget audiobooks. Well, it's time to take a look at new books. These are brand new books that are coming out just in time for Christmas. Let's take a look. Hey, don't look now. It's time for Tom's Top 10 in Music. Happy Thanksgiving. Thanks so much for coming by the show. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Tell your friends. Join us every Saturday at high noon. I don't mean get high at noon. I mean, join us here on the show at noon Central Standard Time every single week where we talk about books and music. I'm thankful for all the blessings. I'm thankful for you stopping by the show. I'm thankful for all the authors that participate. I'm thankful to be an American and live in a country that still allows freedom. Go out, you make it a great Thanksgiving, and we'll see you here next week here on Tom's Cabin, Books and Music. And you make it a great day.